One of the biggest priorities is frankly to make sure that we reach out to enough people about what is happening. Um, we have no problem with uh, a consensus about water quality, and whether it's across the political spectrum, we get support for the need to do more than what we have been doing for water quality issues. But that sort of consensus doesn't exist for climate change. So one of the problems that we have is to make sure that we don't kind of preach to the choir, but we expand the congregation. Our biggest challenge right now is to try to get people who are with us when we talk about the need to act on water quality to basically realize that climate change isn't a future scenario. It's happening now. And I think that's the biggest challenge is to make sure that you're not just talking to the person with like a Prius with a bumper sticker that says "Save New College." And I think honestly, why we're going to respond to climate change is not necessarily going to be the catastrophic events, but the things that happen like a couple times a month. If you can't drive to your house in South Tampa because you have street flooding, or when the water doesn't drain off your roads when it rains on a high tide, I think that's going to get more people paying attention because, you know, we've always had powerful hurricanes. They may be coming more frequently, and in fact, they are coming more frequently. But I think it's still, if you only get hit with a powerful hurricane once every 5, 10 years, people will forget. Riverview Boulevard in Bradenton at 22nd Street actually floods pretty much every time that there's a full moon, and it doesn't even have to be the warmest time of the year in the summer with a thermal expansion. I've seen that street flood on a full moon high tide in May. So that's the kind of thing I think is going to get more attention where, twice a month I can't drive to my house without driving through salt water. That's going to, I think, take people by surprise. And when we have that happen in a large enough area, I think people are going to start to realize, oh, okay, that's not the once in every 5, 10 year hurricane. This is happening every 2 weeks. And that's what people are telling me in Longboat Key Village. Their streets are flooding twice a month. But what's really scary to me is Hurricane Otis in Acapulco. No one predicted that to do anything but stay a tropical storm. And that went from tropical storm to category 5 within less than 24 hours. I think it was 13 hours. So imagine you're a manager, emergency services manager, and you have to figure out whether or not you should, give an evacuation order for the barrier islands. And someone's saying, well, it's just a tropical storm. But that thing became a category 5 in 13 hours. And I think that would be a catastrophic impact because you cannot evacuate our barrier islands in 13 hours, I don't think. And that's a really scary thing. So I teach a college course 2 nights a week, Mondays and Wednesday nights. And it's the same sort of challenge, which is how do you get like younger kids, non-traditional students for the most part, to like, not be depressed about the future. And so what I try to do is basically talk about the reality of climate change is not a future scenario, it's happening now. Um, but we've also been able to show some big success stories. So, for example, we've lost about 25% of our manatee population in the last 3 years in Florida, but we still have a lot more manatees than we had in the 70s. We have a lot more Florida Panthers than we had in the 1970s. We have a lot more bald eagles in this country. Chesapeake Bay is cleaner. Potomac River is cleaner. Um, Hudson River has been as clean now as it's been at any time since the Civil War. So there are large scale success stories in terms of water quality. We've done a pretty good job of responding to the ozone hole problems that we had in Antarctica. So I think what it's going to take is we're going to have to, frankly, have either elected officials we have now to take this more seriously, or we're going to have a new batch of elected officials because climate change is real, it's happening, and there is not widespread political support for us to respond to it the way there is for water quality issues. We just have to change that, or we're going to have to get a new group of politicians in there to actually take this stuff seriously.